anything, man. We're a little team. Me as the teacher who could still do it. You as the student who can do it, just not as good. I'm proud of us.
What's going on, guys? Logan JYA here, and this week, not once but twice, I was able to top and win locals with Pendulum, the absolute best deck. Huge shout out and thank you to Steven Trifanowski, aka TrifGaming. This list is definitely his list, card for card, but I'm going to give you my explanations on how it went for me and my perspective as a novice Pendulum duelist for how it really functioned. We're going to look at a replay at the end of the video to explain why Pend really is one of the best contender rogue decks for this format, or as some would like to say, the best deck. So don't forget to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. If this video smashes 50 likes, I'm going to show you my unique take on pendulums. That's right, this is a build that's a bit of a throwback to something maybe in 2015, 2016, I don't know. You guys are really going to enjoy it though. It's got some different engines in it. So let's try and reach that like goal as quick as we can. I don't want to preface this too much, let's get into the video. What's going on, guys? Logan JYA here, and we have got Pendulums here. Finally went undefeated with this deck at an OTS store and top 4'd a remote tournament earlier that week prior. I gotta tell you guys, I have fallen in love with this strategy. Now, before we get into this profile, I have to preface this. This is Steven Trifanowski, aka TrifGaming's list card for card. So if you've already seen this video, you might want to skip through, but the thing I'm going to offer you here is explanations from the novice perspective. Steven has played Pendulums for years. I have played it for less than a month, and I got to tell you, I've absolutely fallen in love with it. So I'm going to explain it from you. If you're just trying to get into this strategy, you may not have that experience, or you may not be super familiar with the deck, this is going to be the video for you. And I also want to let you guys know, be sure to check out YuGiOh's channel, where there's going to be a few combo tutorials, and if this video smashes over 50 likes, I've got a brand new, inventive, innovative build of Pendulum brought to you by yours truly, one of my collaborators, TK, that I'm going to be super happy to show you in our video series. So without further ado, let's get in the profile. I'm going to go through it very quickly, but I'm going to offer explanations for the things that really stand out to the novice player. Let's get into it. Starting things off, we're obviously playing triple copies of Harmonizing Magician. This is the bread and butter of the deck, your main tuner, and its effect is Savage, special summoning out from the deck, lets you make your Barone, lets you do your Hulk lines. This is going to be your most important card, hands down. That's why you try and prioritize either chain blocking this, maximizing it, reusing it, all of those things. And then following that up with the other best Magician in the deck is the triple copies of Oath Dragon Magician. This is what you use to add back the Harmonizing Magician. It's part of your key combo, and it also gets summoned off of Harmonizing to make Barone to floor. So you got to keep those things in mind, and you have to max out on both. It's a given. Following that up with triple copies of the Wisdom Eye Magician. This becomes any Magician in scale, which is phenomenal. Also loads up your extra deck for that nice big Pendulum summon. So say you open Oath and no high scale, you throw this in there, boom, it becomes your high scale. Or you have Oath, if you have a high scale and nothing else, you throw this in there and it becomes your Oath Dragon. It's phenomenal. It becomes your most ideal scales. That's why we love it. Moving on from there, we are playing triple copies of the Double Iris Magician. Just as Trif says, this card is now legal at 3. Why would we not take advantage of it? Searches out your pen graph. Moving on from there, main deck triple copies of the Purple Poison. When I first started playing this deck, as a newbie player, I thought this card was very underwhelming and seldom would it ever come up, especially in a build like this. I was so wrong. You use this card to break boards. That is what it does. It punishes your opponent for interacting with it. If your opponent Baron negates its effect to pop, you get to do it again. It's insane. You literally normal summon this, and Steven Trifanowski came up with this, it wasn't me. You normal summon this card. It breaks the Sword Soul board, just like that. It's so free. So this is your main going second card. Again, this is like primarily a combo going first deck. So when you have to go second, and you see a Purple Poison in your hand, you're like, oh, thank goodness, I'm going to be able to crack some boards. It really comes in handy. So that's why we max out on it. And of course, if you are, you know, you can side out copies if it's not necessarily favorable in the matchup. But more times often than not, it's not only another Pendulum name, but it is a board breaker. Moving on from there, triple copies of the Celestial Magician, absolutely mandatory. The fact that this becomes your pseudo, like, you know, call by the grave, cross out designate, or whatever you want to call it, like, you make it so you just absolutely punish your opponent for not interacting with you. Say you would play against an opponent who's not very familiar with Pendulum, and you're going through your combo. Say you just Pendulum summon Harmo in this, You summon out your Oath from deck, you make your Baron to floor, use your Oath to add back your Harmo, you normal summon it, you activate Celeste's effect, you've got Baron and Harmo on field with this. Your opponent can no longer interact with you with monster effects for the rest of the turn. Not only are you safe with that Baron being there before your 5th summon, so Nibiru, see ya chump, you can't do it. Now you can't get anything, you can't get hit with anything except for impermanence, and even if you get impermed, it doesn't even matter that much. It's absolutely phenomenal. If they waited that long to imperm you, their mistake, alright? This card is phenomenal, and again, it gives you that end phase search. It's a Performer Powell name to search off of this guy right here, Pendulum Sorcerer, right? I apologize for the mismatched rarities, but my boy Steven Trifanowski is getting on the 3rd copy of this one. Perform Pal Pensork is a chain blocker for your Harmo. It searches out some of your best pieces, them being the Celestial or the Skullcrabat Joker. Outside of your Harmonizing Magician, this is your other normal summon. The way I compare this is, if you have to normal summon this card, it's either you're going second trying to bait things, or your hand's not optimal going first. Or you're trying to bait things. It's literally like, it's like in Drytron when you normal summon Diviner. Either you're trying to bait, or your hand is crap. That's kind of what it comes down to, but it's still essential. It's searchable follow-up, it enables you to play on, it gets you your missing pieces, it's phenomenal. It's at 2 on the ban list, that's why we only play 2. If it was at 3, we'd probably play 3. Moving on from there, Destroyer Pendulum Enforcer package, no explanation needed. The 1 Tuning Magician, Steven Trifanowski was right. There's no reason to play any more bricks than necessary. So we just play the 1 Tuning, and sometimes I miss a 2nd copy, but it's not worth it. It's really not worth it. So the 1 copy is absolutely sufficient, and then the 1 copy of Scythe, because this is the bread and butter combo of the deck, is Scythe locking your opponent backed up by a Negate and a Pengraph. That's what you aim to do. So that's it for the monsters. Spells, triple pen call, mandatory. You gotta play triple pen call, alright? It's so hard, and I think if you watch Steven's live streams or his videos, he can explain better how to properly sequence the activation of the cards in your hand. It's something that I'm still trying to get used to, so you have to be smart about this. But when you put up the pen call, it basically gets you your missing pieces, gets you that Harmo, that Oath, that Wisdom, whatever you need, that Iris, that Celestial Magician. It fills in the gaps. So this card is phenomenal. When it gets ashed, it sucks. That's why if your hand is that susceptible to ash, you want to make sure that this is either one of the later things you do, or that if this were to be ashed, you can play afterwards. So, of course, we're playing triple pen call, triple Duelist Alliance. It can search pen call, but more oftentimes than not, you're going to be searching your Sorcerer or your double Iris, your other 2 legal targets in deck. It's phenomenal. And again, guys, smash 50 likes, and I'll show you some of the other crazy things that this card can search in our own unique build of Pendulum. Moving on from there, we've got triple copies of Pot of Prosperity for maximized consistency, and triple copies of Fusion Destiny because DPE is one of the key essential factors that makes this deck as good as it is. Finally, round out the list with the 1 copy of Time Pendulum Graph. If you haven't read this card and you're interested in playing Pendulum, absolutely just give it a read. It's going to take some time to really get used to the full utility of it, but the best interaction that I want to highlight now is Pen Call plus this. When you set it up properly with your combo, you get to remove 2 cards from your opponent's field. You get to pop 1, and then you get to send 1, because your scale will not successfully be popped by Time Pendulum Graph. That means you get an additional send. Non-targeting send. This outs so many problem cards. It's also your key utility piece for playing through back row decks. For example, I lost the die roll game 1 against a Eldritch player, and he locked me under summon limit after attempting a Harmo. He had 4 set back rows, so I didn't want to commit too heavily to a Pendulum summon. So after my Harmo resolved, I got hit with that summon limit, and I'm like, alright, well, I'm going to set Pendulum Graph and pass. And fortunately enough, I was able to regain control with this card and Fusion Destiny in tandem. So it really is phenomenal. I don't think you need to play any more than 1. Steven pointed out that Star Pendulum Graph is a bit of a brick, and I absolutely agree with him. This is the more bare bones build, but this is the way to play it if you want to play consistently and safely. So again, huge shout out to Trif. Credit to him for the deck itself. I'm just offering my take and explanations as a novice. Let's move on into the extra deck real quick. So we've got Selene Jr. in the form of the Magistus, Link 1, Spellcaster, really easy to make. Sometimes you need to fill up your extra deck with this guy, it comes in handy. And Selene Major right there. No explanation needed for Selene. It climbs into your access code, your Apollosa, whatever you actually need in that situation. She's there for you, buddy. And also, cool thing, if you pitched a Pensork for your Pendulum Call or anything else that can trigger Engrave, when you bring it back, it's going to trigger. Like Pensork, if you bring it back off of Selene, it will trigger, which is insane. So really, really cool thing there. Our Link 2 is the Verite Anaconda make DPE, the dagger to get your scythe, and the Halka Fibrax, which is another key combo piece. So absolutely essential there. You got to play those. The 1 copy of Appaloosa. I originally, when I first tried learning how to play Pendulum, I cut this card because I never saw it like coming up. And then when I was playing my first tournament after playing the deck, I realized how much I missed this card. And it really does come up in practice, so I highly encourage you guys to actually play the Appaloosa. And the last Link monster is the 1 access code talker for closing out games, absolutely essential. And the card's a little bit cheaper now, it got reprinted in gold, so definitely consider picking one of those up if you ain't already done so. Let's go into the Exceed monsters. We got the 1 Time Star Magician, of course, it searches out your spellcasters from the deck. It has a lot of utility. You also can combo it with your Pengraph. It does come up. For me, I think I'm still getting into the groove of taking advantage of its utility. It really comes with practice, guys. So this one, it definitely has a home in this deck. For me personally, I'm still learning how to properly use it. The 1 Abyss Dweller. Okay, so hear me out. Steven Trifanowski said he was going to cut this card for Rhapsody. Rhapsody and Berserk. I can't remember its exact full name, but it basically is a deity crow from the opponent's graveyard. And then you can also attach it to a monster and it gains attack equal to that monster's attack. I have a copy of it. It's in Italian. I really can't read it, and I thought Dweller would actually perform a little bit better for me. And in practice, it really has. So against decks like Phantom Knight, say you know that you're playing against Phantom Knight in game 3, and you summon this, like you know that you're locking out that graveyard and you're locking up the game. It serves a lot of the same purposes too as the Rhapsody and Berserk. I get it, they're both really good. The main benefit of the Rhapsody is that you can banish DPE pieces or DPE itself after it's already used its effect, so I totally understand that. But this accomplishes it just as well. I would say either one is good, but in my practice, Dweller has been better. Also for locking out Drytrons, like when you go first against Drytron in game 3, or you know that you're playing against Drytron, and you summon this, it's actually extremely phenomenal. Dweller is one of the best cards you can summon against Drytron. Take it from the Drykage. Moving on from there, Tornado Dragon, Poppin' Backcrow, Poppin' Sights, absolutely mandatory. And then the 1 Baguska, again, absolutely mandatory. It's another Floodgate, a pseudo Floodgate rank 4. It's one of the best cards that this deck has. And you can watch Trif's channel to hear about how you can OTK with this in defense, and then a Selene Climb. It's really good. Then we played the 1 Zeus. I've been playing this deck for a few weeks now. I've never summoned this card. I've never summoned it. I tell you what, because I've never been in the position where I value the Zeus sending not only my opponent's board, but my pen scales to the grave. So I've considered cutting this card. I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments. What do you think about Zeus? How often does it come up for you? I get it. It's really important in terms of utility for those things that you just can't out. But for me, that situation really hasn't arisen yet. So, yeah, moving on from there. The 1 TG Wonder Magician and the 1 Barone de Fleur. TG is another means of triggering your Scythe, and Barone, of course, is the Omni Negate that you summon while going through your combo. And then the Destroyer, Pendulum, Enforcer, which is absolutely essential to the strategy. Let's wrap things up with the side deck. We can go through this real quick. None of this is my ideas, guys, but it all makes sense. Lava Golem for when you're going second against build-a-board decks to break those boards for free. Just basically sack over any of the problems. Same thing with the Sphere mode. You just got to be a bit more selective with which decks you're putting in which against. Follow that up with triple copies of the Dark Ruler No More to say no to build-a-board decks, especially against that Bird Up deck. It's sometimes this card or break, or the Sphere mode or break. But that's what these really are for. It's for those build-a-board decks like Drytron, like Bird Up. Be prepared for them, play these cards. Triple copies of the Cosmic Cyclone to deal with the Scythe Lock or back row decks. Steven said it best. You get double duty out of these cards. That's why we're playing them. Call by the Grave. You don't bring this in going first. You only bring it in against the decks where it really has application. Like say you're sniping out Rays from the graveyard, or it serves double duty of protecting you against hand traps from the Skystriker matchup. Or you're sniping out the Scythe Lock specifically. You snipe that Scythe, especially in the PK matchup, where they can't do anything about it if you have the call by, because they don't actually end on an Omni Negate. So it's a phenomenal card. And then, of course, the Harpies Feather Duster and the Red Reboot. Shout out to my boy Shaq. I'm so sorry that I sacked you at the Red Reboot in the finals of the OTS tournament. But that's it for this profile, guys. Again, I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. We've got more penned content coming in the future for you guys, as well as Drytrons and a whole lot more. So if you want the best in terms of combo-centric Yu-Gi-Oh content, look no further, my friends. Again, huge shout out and thank you to Steven Trifanowski. It is his list. I just, played it, and I'm so happy that I did. that's all I got for you guys today. Logan JY signing off. Have a great day. Go check out the combo tutorial on YuGiOh's channel, and I'll see you chumps later. Peace. Alright guys, to wrap up this video, we're going to do a quick replay of Pendulum's me versus Sky Strikers, and I'll tell you right now, this guy we played against is a real character. Now mind you, there may be a misplay or two that I'm going to point out to you, and how you can do better when you play the deck yourself. So here we go. We grab Oath and Celeste off of the pen call. Fortunately enough, it resolves. Then we go for Duelist Alliance, grabbing double Iris. Next we go for a Pen 3, Harmo does get hit with the Imperm. Then we go for the Celestial effect. Now here we go Hulk, summon out the tuning. I should have linked one into the Magistus and then brought it back, and then gone for Dagda underneath, I think. It doesn't make that much of a difference, but just pointing out, food for thought. Maybe it should have been done, maybe it shouldn't have. It doesn't really make that much of a difference. But here, since we go for the DPE play over here, we blow it up, we get our guaranteed pen graph, which is going to come in clutch, and then we get to bring back our DPE. We hold a little bit longer than maybe we should have, but it doesn't matter that much. We go for DPE, it gets Widow anchored, so it didn't make that much of a difference. And then he gets to dump his engage, Kagari add back. He goes for Widow Anchor here, which is definitely a weird choice. And then Shizuku search and end phase to grab Shark Cannon, banish our Celestial. But we still have Pengraph to break that back row, and he's just like, oh, okay, I guess I just lose then. Because Pengraph is that good. Pengraph plus Pencall, phenomenal combo. Moving on from here, the opponent gets to go first here. Kagari add back engage, get Widow Anchor unlocked, pretty good, set that with a shared ride and another interruption, and face search area 0. Interesting choice, I don't know if it's what I would have done. Our turn starts and we go for a 6-piece prosp, get hit with the shared ride. So he's going to get to draw every time we search, which means we're going to keep that searching to a minimum, prevent him from getting into any hand traps, could stop our plays. Fortunately enough, we don't need to search too many times here. We're going to go for that double Wisdom Eye Magician and a nice big Pen 4 here. That way we go for our effect. In response to Harmo, he hits it with the Widow Anchor. We go for Tornado Dragon to break the last back row. He ends up banishing our Pensork, but now we climb into Hulk, get our Tuning Magician online. Link up into the Dagda. Since we did Prosperity, we know we can't go for a game. Trigger it off of Oath, adding back Harmo, and then bring back the Tuning, taking the burn. He gains the life, and then we lock it up with the Verte. We get to summon out the Harmo, set it up with a Dweller. So we have DPE plus Dweller to clear that without triggering the Ray, going for 17 and 5 respectively. Excuse me, I mean to say half of that, but you understand what I mean. And then when we go to DPE Scythe him, unfortunately we get hit with the darn Imperm, but it's not the end of the world. He goes for his own DPE, which puts us in an interesting position. He tries to DPE, and then forgets that he's under Dweller and gets massively punished. So here, there's like a bit of a dispute here, because the Scythe was supposed to be popped off of the Dagda, and basically I was just going to pop it anyway to destroy the shared ride because it didn't really make a difference. So he was supposed to summon back in his end phase, and it's mandatory to come back, so there's a bit of a dispute there. It doesn't matter. We get the Duelist Alliance effect. We literally let him draw cards here, but it doesn't matter because we're just pen summoning and swinging for game. And boom, look at that. That's another thing I really want to point out about this deck. When you don't have to go too hard, you just pen summon and go for game, and that's the perfect example of what happens at the end there. Now, he says, easy win, idiot. Yes, it was an easy win for me. Anyway, guys, that's all I got for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Logan JY signing off. Have a great day, and I'll see you chumps later. Shout out to Steven Trifanoski, the Pen God, Grim YuGiOh, your playmat, all that good stuff. Peace.